Hi, ladies. It's Sandra here from Women on Transition. I'm one of the head coaches and one of the owners of with Fiona Steady. So, ladies, today we're going to talk about financial independence and security and your path forward. You know, so many of us have had a pathway in the past that has been maybe secure, maybe it's been intertwined with a business or an ex or a situation that we're now separated from. And we may not have had the settlement or the financial part of it sorted, but now we're on our own. And that's what is super scary when we're starting to, for the first time for many of us, having to make big decisions on what to do with our funds, what to do with our assets, and what to do with maybe future decisions on kids' schooling, whether we buy them a car, right through to, for ourselves, where we're going to live. Do we sell? Do we downsize? Do we rent out a room? There's so many things that come up at this stage. And I'm just going to go through and just share a few things about becoming financially independent and making sure that you secure your foundations and that they're strong and that they're stable and that we watch out for some of the risks along the road as well. So just going to pop into a couple of slides here. And if you're listening and you want to add some questions in here, I'm more than happy to answer them after as well. So don't feel that you can't just drop a question after you're listening to this, maybe later, maybe weeks later, because I'll be able to see it if you tag me as well. So this one is welcome to your journey and this is us. This is our journey that we quite often can give away finances or money without really intentionally doing so, or think that we're putting it into safe hands. And at the time, that's our best judgment. Yet sometimes these decisions can come back and bite us. So after separation, you have a unique opportunity to completely reset your relationship with money. And today we'll explore 3 powerful strategies to help you take control, create stability, and build lasting wealth. And we're going to do this just in about 15 minutes. So it's a real speedy go through, but it covers a lot of ground and there's a lot of great tips in here. So if you wanted to write some notes or grab your pen, you're welcome to do that as well. So taking control of your finances post-separation, the first thing we start with is an audit. And audit's not a scary word. It's a check-in. Where are we at? Create a comprehensive list of all your assets, your debts, and your income sources. So if you've got a property and you may not know exactly what it's worth, but you can go on to one of the real estate websites and have a look at what other properties are selling in your area for roughly the same size, whether it's similar size land or a 3 or 4 bedroom or it's an apartment or a villa. And you can get a bit of an idea for what the property is doing. Or you can get a real estate agent for free to come and give you a free appraisal. And it gives you a good understanding of what your range is. And then looking at what your debt is against it as well. So how much do you have as far as equity, which is the difference between what it's worth and what you owe. And we want to be able to use that equity. Potentially, we could be using that equity to be, if we've got credit cards or what we call bad debt, which could be high interest debt, it's something that we could be drawing on to be able to pay off some of the things that are costing us each month that maybe shouldn't be. So we first off take that audit in and we go through, we look at all of our assets, our cars, our houses, whatever we've got. Cash in the bank is also an asset. And we look at our income sources. Do we have rent coming in? Are we going to rent out a room maybe, or we're already doing that? Is it something that we've got coming in as far as other sources? Maybe it's dividends or maybe it's child support. Whatever it is, we get really clear what that income is. And then we start looking from there because we can't manage what we don't measure. So it's super important that we start off with a measure, and then from there we can see where we're growing or maybe losing money as well. So this banking independence, open up new bank accounts. If you've just newly separated or you're going through it now, you can, whilst you've agreed to maybe having a joint one for a while, you can still go ahead and open up a new one that's in your own name. You don't have to have only joint accounts. So this gives you independence to be able to have your own funds in there. You can choose where your money's going, and you can, at the end of the day, make choices for yourself. Update your credit cards. Make sure that you're taking off joint cards. Make sure that you're taking off joint loans if that's what you're going through the settlement and that's what it's been agreed on. And you're going through with your billing information. Take your name off things like telephone accounts that aren't your telephone accounts, Netflix accounts, things that you could end up being liable for if the other party doesn't pay. So you're really taking stock at this moment and doing a stock take of everything that you've got and everything that you might be liable for, and just going through slowly. Sometimes at this point it can seem super overwhelming because it can be such a big job, but it's just a matter of chunking it down. And you can contact through Google search, find out who these suppliers or services are, and just start contacting them one by one. Pick to do one a day and start moving it over. Your healthcare fund, all make a list of all the things that you're liable for each other, and start looking at whether you are going to separate it off and if that's the best choice. Sometimes you agree, and I did for a while when I went through my separation, to keep the medical fund joint for a while because it made sense, because there wasn't any financial advantage for either of us to separate out until the premium was due. So we did do the fund for a little while together, but you might choose to do it separate from now. It's up to you. And going through and looking at building your credit, check your credit score. You can go online and you can apply to have your credit score checked. One of the things I've found recently has been a poor credit score finding from people that they're looking to apply for a new finance or refinance loans, and they've gone and done the banks have actually done their credit history or credit check, or the lender. And companies like Wizard Loans, you can hear of these loans that have been advertised on TV, that they have really high interest rates. And a lot of the impact on these high interest rates can really impact your credit score. So you can actually have a bad credit rating without you even realizing, and without you ever not paying back you could always have had a good repayment history. You might have taken out loans and you might have paid them all back on time, but you still could have a bad credit history purely because you've used a third level or third rate funder or lender. And that's something that can really impact you. So do your homework and go and check out what your credit score is. It is something you can fix. You can actually apply to them to have your credit score changed or a history removed from it if it's been fixed in the meantime. And back yourself. I always, when I've been talking to women who have been going through and they've lost some money because they've lent it or given it or invested it with somebody else, and they've gone, oh, I've bought some cryptocurrency, or I've bought, and I said, well, which one did you buy, or why did you buy those gold shares? And they tell me it was a hot tip, or somebody said that they should get into it, otherwise they'll miss the boat. And when I dig a bit deeper, they actually don't really understand it. They're not dumb, they're super intelligent women, but because they feel like they are, a bit dumb because they don't know, which is the opposite of what they are, they won't ask the question. So be the master asker. Go out there and ask questions. You work hard for your money, and you need to look after it, protect it, love it, nurture it. And this is what it's so important at this point, to make sure that you're not giving your money to anyone or putting it into any investment or anywhere that you do not understand, that you don't understand where it's going, and you don't understand what you're doing with it and what the results are going to be. And if you don't understand, don't do it. You don't have to put your money somewhere. Just leave it sitting in the bank. It's going to be okay. It's on a lower interest, but certainly it's safe for now until you really make a decision what you want to do. And Dr. Seuss said, in the places you'll go, if you can't make a decision, don't. And just sit in that waiting room until you're really clear which door to open and which direction to go in. If you don't know all the facts, if you don't know where you're going to get the money from, you haven't got your job sorted, you haven't got your settlement sorted, you don't have to make a decision. You can just pause. You don't have to rush into buying a house or jumping into getting into a suburb that you might not love but living in later. So I always look at how I could maybe rent in a suburb for a little while before I made a decision to buy in it. Or I look around at the schools and I spend time walking around a suburb, and making really big decisions like this takes time, and it's really important that we don't rush into it. And if somebody comes to you and says that they've got a great deal or a great opportunity, this is really key. Don't give your money away. Don't give it to somebody else to look after. Even if you're meeting with an accountant for the first time, or a financial planner, ask them how wealthy they are. And you can ask it in a way that's maybe not as direct, but certainly, where do they live? What sort of assets are they investing in? What sort of wealth portfolio do they have? How much experience do they have? And what is their return on their annual assets over the last few years? And ask them to give examples and ask them to give you proof that they can actually do the right thing with your money. So this is you asking and being the master asker. I'll say that again, because it's so critical. We quite often lose our voice in a relationship. And this is you stepping up into being the one that if you don't ask, no one else will. And if you don't find out, no one else will either. So if you don't know the person, don't give it away. One of the ladies that I spoke to just a few months ago had met a chap. It was on a dating site. And she said, I didn't give him the money. She said, I invested it in a recommendation that he gave me. So he recommended this hot tip it was a cryptocurrency, and he showed her which platform to use. And they'd been talking for a few months. They hadn't met, but they would chat. And she decided that she'd put a couple of $1,000s into this platform. It was online, and he showed her how to do it, how to send her money. And she put $5,000 in, and the $5,000 looked on this platform like it was actually making money, and it was getting an increase in her return. So she put more in there. She put $400,000 of her $600,000 settlement funds in there. So she had $600,000 that she settled out with her ex, and that's what she had. And she was looking to invest it into a home, which she would have bought a nice size unit or a small home, and she would have had maybe some cash left over if she bought a unit. And she put $400,000 because she saw the returns were like 30 to 50%. She wanted to make more money, and she had put the money into a fake platform unknowingly. And the platform disappeared the next day. Obviously, the person she was speaking to disappeared the next day on this dating site, and it was just tragic, absolute tragic. But she was a victim of a crime. She was a victim of somebody coming in, and she was wanting to, invest, and she wanted to put her money into something, and it sounded amazing. Well, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And in most cases, it is too good to be true. So don't put your money anywhere that you don't understand. You haven't done your homework. You haven't fact checked it. You haven't looked online to see whether it's a scam, she went on to Scam Watch and she reported it. And Scam Watch is an online government agency, and they said there was nothing they could do. She'd lost the $405,000, and ultimately she conceded that it had gone. She was devastated, and she told her adult children, and they were so angry with her. One of them hasn't been speaking to her, and the other one said that she was going to get her to get a double signature on her paperwork and bank documents going forward. Like, these girls were so angry that she had spent in their minds their inheritance, and they were very entitled. However, for her, she was devastated. She felt she had been, dumb and stupid. And I explained to her that these are organizations that are out there that 100% just there to prey on vulnerable women just like her. And they're good at it, and they spend 3-6 months grooming people to do it. And her daughters, she didn't have to have an inheritance there to give to them at all. But what they were worried about was the mother was now going to be dependent on them. With a $200,000 in her bank, she now has limited choices of what she can do with the money. So Scamwatch rang her back about 6 months later and said, hey, we've been pursuing this case. Looks like we can actually do something about it. However, you need to pay a fee for us to do the inquiry and to check it out. So she agreed to that, and she gave them another $50,000 to follow this up, the 405 that had gone missing. And that was part of the scam as well. So they took another lot from her. So now she's down to 150, and it's just devastating. And this is from somebody that just hasn't got the self-confidence. They didn't want to ask. They felt like they were being dumb, and yet they are a victim of a crime. And unfortunately, it's irrecoverable. So be smart. Ask questions. Get someone around you that you really trust. Talk to people that have been in this world, in this industry, and have been, and you trust that they can give you good advice. Do your homework with everybody that you look at to give funds to as well. Smart budgeting and future-proofing your income is essential. So on any income that you have come in, on your financial goals, look at how you can spend 30% on things like debt repayments. So if you're getting in your bank account $1,000 a week, look at how you can put 30%, just $300 across to reducing your debts. This is not your home, it's not your housing loan, it's not your essential, it's more debts such as credit cards or personal loan or car loan. And look at how you can put some funds away as a bit of a stash cash, I call it. So 50% is your essential needs. Housing, it's your rent or your housing loan repayments. It's your food, it's your utilities like your power and your water. It's your transport, your car and car registration and your car fuel and other necessities. So these are the things that we can't live without. 50% of our money needs to be put aside to that. 30% to the debt repayment, like I mentioned, emergency fund, investments, and the third one was personal choices. So this is where we look at putting in 20% of what we earn into entertainment, hobbies, self-care. It might be medical care, it might be a yoga class, it might be a gym membership, things that bring us joy along our journey, things that are priorities, but they certainly give us joy. And how we manage things is how we measure things. So this is really important for you to start looking at putting together a budget on how you invest in your funds as well. So understanding investments and wealth building, this diversification, you don't have to diversify into shares and property and go into business and bonds if you don't understand them. But if you do and you do your homework and you can put some funds into different areas across different investments, it does help spread your risk and it gives you the potential to be able to earn some better returns on your money as well. Look always at how you can honestly and legally be able to reduce your tax. And I don't talk about avoiding, I talk about reducing, because we make sure that you're doing everything that's above board and legal as well. Look at ways that you can do things in a self-managed super fund maybe. And if you don't understand how that works, go and talk to your fund manager in your existing super fund. Go and talk to your accountant. Go and talk to a financial advisor. You can quite often get free appointments up front without any cost to you at all, that you can just get some advice and some direction. And then after that, there'll be an investment going forward if it's for a financial planner. However, you get to choose whether you go forward and invest the cost to do that, or whether you just take the advice and you look at other ways, or whether this is even something you could do yourself. Look at compounding growth. Even small investments grow substantially over time. And the sooner you start, the more powerful the effect. I always look at taking my savings out of my income first, and then I spend the rest. When I was younger, I used to spend my money and think I'll save what's left. It doesn't work like that. Nothing's ever left. So make sure that you take the savings out first and then you spend what's left. And this is your contribution. What is it that you're going to do about building your wealth for future growth, for future potential, for future earnings? Maybe it is something that's in a property, but maybe you can't afford a whole property. Maybe it's something that you're buying in shares or stocks that are stable, and it's something that you really have done your homework in and investing in, and you're looking at slowly accumulating assets in a way that it's going to be building wealth over a longer period of time. So some takeaways for financial independence. Take immediate control. Your financial independence begins with complete awareness of your current situation, and that denial and bearing facts doesn't make them go away. I spent some time with one of my family members a while ago, and there's a cousin, and he had not opened his mail for nearly a year, and he had land rates in there and water rates, and he had his power cut off, and he was in a crisis mode, but he had money. He just was too scared to face it all, and it was just a matter of spending a couple of days in the end, but going through and opening it all up, bringing up the suppliers, putting things onto payment plans, getting things sorted, and he ended up taking a while, but he did dig himself back out of it and get himself back with a budget and careful planning back on top of things, to a point that he was feeling like he could breathe again. And so he just got to that horrible point of just denying and burying everything and just just not looking at it because he thought it would just all go away, and it doesn't. It just gets worse. So it's really important that we open our eyes and face up to our situation, and then we take some steps. We work out where we're at, and we budget with purpose. Every dollar has a job. Make your money work for you versus you working for it. Intentional spending creates freedom. Look at where your money's going. Keep track of it for a week or a fortnight. How many dollars are we spending on coffees, or we're spending on fuel because we wasted trips, or what is it that we're spending on when we're going to the shops without a shopping list? I'm a shopping lister with a little tick box. So, and if you find you can't control yourself, you get into the aisles at the shopping center and you just load up the trolley and it gets to the till and you've got a surprise. Do your shopping online. So go onto one of the Coles or Woolworths or wherever you're shopping online and get it delivered. That way you're just really clear that you're not getting tempted going down the aisles, because they are designed to tempt you to buy more. So invest in your future. Your wealth grows when you consistently nurture it with informed decisions. Grow yourself, grow your knowledge, and grow your community. Get your knowledge growing with, working with people around you that know more, can support you more, give you advice, and you can avoid costly mistakes that can cost you your hard-earned, not just money from a settlement, but your hard-earned income that you've earned yourself, as well as maybe future income, because it could be something that's put you into debt as well. And at our age, I'm 57 and I don't want to start again. And I know many people, this lady I shared about, she was 65 and she said, I don't want to start again either. And, what do we do at this age, at the 40s, 50s, 60s? It's so hard to start from scratch. So look at your own money and be so careful with, one, how you're spending it, and two, how you're saving it. And embrace your power. Your past does not determine your future. So you are creating something that's fresh, something that's new, and something that's you. Have a goal. Set some goals up of what you want to do with your money. And even if you think, oh, well, I'd love to go on a tropical holiday or go somewhere that's going to be amazing, or get a new car, or just get a car. These are things that can start off as goals, and visualize and put a picture of it on your walls or on your fridge so you can see it every day. Put it in your bathroom mirror. And they're things that can keep you motivated, to keep you saving and keep you on track. You're building a foundation for you, for the future of you and your kids potentially. But certainly the number one person you've got to look after now is you. So these are some ideas. Your path to financial independence and security starts here. And this is that one call away. You can book in a call. We've got some 3-day events coming up to, lots of cities around Australia. You can book a free coaching call. You can access healing resources that are free on our website, womenontransition.com. And I look forward to seeing you online, or seeing you at one of our events and meeting you in person. And any advice you need, or any support you need as far as where to go and directions and where you're at and your strategy and your next steps, you'll find at one of our events, and certainly online, or follow up on one of the things and ideas that we've come up with on this as well. So I look forward to meeting you in person and giving you a big hug. Ciao for now.